Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is September 3rd, 2025, and yes, once again, holding the legacy mainstream media's feet to the fire. Oh, man, they're just so creative in their editing. Guess what? You lie, you propagandize, and we won't take it anymore. And you know what? You won't be trusted anymore. No, you won't be trusted anymore. This is why the mainstream legacy media is losing big time. I mean, the last I checked, CNN had lower ratings than the Hallmark Channel, and, well, that should be the case. Anyway, welcome to the Wednesday Hump Day, Don't You Be a Chump and Crump Day of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and as always, our broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. Now, if you haven't checked it out, you know I've been banging the drum for Tesla technology and Rife technology for a long time. And, Linda Bamber, she figured out how to take the Rife technology, you know, the frequencies and all that. She figured out how to shrink that down into a wristwatch. Yeah, that's right. There's over 1,000 frequencies stored in this wristwatch that can very well help you. And I'm not here to say it's going to cure or treat any type of problem that you might have. But you know what? For sure, it ain't going to hurt. No, sir. But if you haven't checked out the Wave Watch, do yourself a favor. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and you can do some research and find out what the Wave Watch is all about. And if you decide that you want to get one, don't forget to use the promo code REDPILL100. You'll save yourself $100. So hey, check it out, the Wave Watch. Okay, oh man, there's so much stuff to get to. Oh, I say that every single day. I sound like a broken record. But the big story that's going on right now is a huge press conference in front of the Capitol building of the Epstein survivors. Oh, I got some incredible clips here that I got to play for you that just happened just a little while ago. And yes, there's a ripple effect going on. The entire world is condemning Israel and the United States for carrying out what is everybody is finally saying the G word, genocide. Yes, they're saying it. They have to say it. They can't ignore it anymore. And so anyway, we're going to get to some of that. Also, because of the actions taken by Benjamin Netanyahu. No, I was right the first time. Milikowski. Yeah. Because of what he and his cronies and his regime has been doing, the entire world now has been doing some research. What a refreshing concept. People are going independent now. They're not relying upon, believing what they were told their entire lives. They're starting to find out what the real meaning behind the phrase, history is written by those who hang the heroes. Ah, yeah. History revisionism. Yeah, we've all been victims of it. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of folks out there that are having a real problem assimilating the information that they're finding. Because when they find new information, it challenges them to discard a previous belief system because it's been pounded into our heads our entire lives. And that's a real tough pill to swallow. So, but unfortunately for some people, the truth is getting out. And so anyway, I want to start off right now. As you know, I am no fan of the mainstream legacy media. Now, that theme music that I use in the beginning of this broadcast every single day, that song I wrote, 96, almost 30 years ago. And it was dedicated to the fake news, to the lying propagandists that we call the news networks. And yeah, you won't be trusted anymore. You can hear the whole song. All you got to do is go to YouTube and search my name. And the title of the song is You Won't Be Trusted Anymore. And it stands now just as strongly as it stood all those decades ago. But anyway, the reason I wanted to preface this little report with that little plug is because, it seems that the USA Today has been using some creative editing. Yeah. Okay, getting to this press conference, and I have a couple other issues I want to get to today, too. And, by the way, write the phone number down. If you want to join the broadcast, you're welcome to do so. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. All right, let's kick this thing off. There's a press conference going on in front of the Capitol building, and Marjorie Taylor Greene basically began this press conference with an opening statement. Now, it was carried live, but there are some people out there that decided certain things had to be edited out. Now, the USA Today put out a little clip, and I want you to listen carefully. I'm going to play the first clip, and then I'm going to play the second clip, and you'll be able to hear where they made the edit. Now, this is the way the legacy media plays it. All right, now here's the first clip. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the edited clip, okay? And listen for you're going to hear the word, the tail end of Israel. You might hear Real, something like that. Anyway, listen to this. Here it is.
For those that are enduring sexual abuse and are living in a prison of shame. Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault, Israel and other countries.
Okay, did you hear that? I'm going to back it.
The truth needs to come.
I'm going to back it up here. All of the fault, and then there's a little blank, and then you hear Israel. Listen again.
Out, and the government holds the truth. Or fear or shame. All of the fault, Israel.
Right there. All of the fault, Ariel. Did you hear that? All right, I'm going to let the rest of this play.
Countries. The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out on behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. Okay,
now I'm going to back that up, let you listen to it one more time, and you'll hear this little thing, all of the Ariel. Okay, listen up.
Your fault. You should live with no guilt or fear or shame. All of the fault, Ariel.
Right
and
there. All of the fault, Ariel. All right, now let's listen to the full clip, and you'll understand why you heard ill. Okay, here it is. Listen to this.
Want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel.
Right there. See, you didn't hear the thing about the foreign countries. You heard Israel. Okay? They took that out because there were people from all different countries showing up at Epstein Island.
Other countries. The truth needs to come out.
That's right. So I wanted to play that because there are creative editors, and this is what woke me up many, many, many years ago when I worked at WTNH Channel 8 in New Haven, Connecticut, and went during the first Gulf War with George Bush and Norman Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell and all that stuff. I remember how stuff ended up on the editing room floor because they didn't want you to know certain things, and this has not stopped. But I wanted to play that clip for you to see, so you could hear, not see, but hear how they are creatively editing certain things out. Now, again, this is a press conference that was going on just about an hour or so ago on the steps of the nation's capital, all right? And we heard from several different Epstein survivors, okay? Now, here's one of them. They didn't have their names on the television, so I can't remember who is who. But here's one of the survivors' statements. Here it is.
Transparency is justice. Release the files. End the secrecy. And stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names.
Whoa! Good luck with that.
We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that.
Yeah, stay tuned for more details.
Is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. That's right. Thank you.
Okay, can you imagine all these women who were victimized, not just by Epstein, but by all the clients? And there's so many people have been screaming, release the list. We want to know who the customers are. Who were the clients? And we haven't been able to get that. Well, there could be a reason for that. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, now there was another survivor, and here's her testimony.
And for some reason, I can feel their spirit, especially Virginia's today. She would be so proud, and she would be so beside herself to see this one moment we have all came together to unite.
Okay, I'm going to pause that for a second. She was referring to Virginia Giuffre, and I will get to her in a few minutes.
And for our government, and for the politicians who have taken our trauma and have weaponized it against us, making it unbearable, making it unlivable, making it hard to move on in a life that we wish to live in happiness and joy and peace and injustice that can only come from within at this point. And we have gotten to this point. Shame on you. Shame on you for using our trauma to weaponize this moment. We are not going to be fooled by your trickery. We are not going to be fooled by the lies, by the conspiracy theories. We are the keys to this situation. We have the truth. And the FBI knows the truth. Mm-hmm. The government knows the truth.
Yep.
You may pull the wool over the sheep's eyes, but we are the keys. We know who was involved. We know the game. We know the players. And we are sitting here for 20 years waiting for you to get up and do something. Well, guess what? Your time is up, and now we're doing it.
Atta girl. Oh, yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, now let me see. I have one more clip here from this. Her name was, this girl's name was Lisa Phillips. And here's what she had to say. Let's cue that up, and off we go.
Hi there. My name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of a award-nominated podcast called From Now On, a platform supporting survivors. I want to thank all of my survivor sisters who came before me today. I'll be very short. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, stay tuned for more details is right. Can you imagine the powers that be, the perpetrators who are shaking in their boots right now? Now, it's one thing to take out one person, one witness, but you're talking about there were close to 100 women back there. All of them victims. Now, I don't know how many there were. There's a big crowd of them, all right? And that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. As a matter of fact, Thomas Massie was there. He's making some noise now. Yeah, he is. He's sticking out like a big sore thumb. No wonder Donald Trump is trying to get him out of there. And I'll deal with Trump in just a minute. But here's a short piece of what Thomas Massie had to say at the press conference.
I think it's shameful that this has been called a hoax. Hopefully today we can clear that up. This is not a hoax. This is real. There are real survivors. There are real victims to this criminal enterprise. And the perpetrators are being protected because they're rich and powerful and political donors to the establishment here in Washington, D.C.
Now, he just hit a nerve. He hit the nail on the head. Yes, very powerful people are involved with this. And he also said, no, this is not a hoax. Now, we all know that a couple weeks ago at the press conference when one of the reporters brought up the issue about the Epstein files and Trump got his knickers in a bunch. And he said, are you still talking about the Epstein files, this hoax? Okay, now, why would Trump take this stand? He knows. Of course he knows. But why would he take that stand? Well, let's think about it. Okay, it isn't necessarily because he might be on the list, but think about the ramifications. Think about all of the CEOs and presidents, of businesses and corporations and stuff like that. I mean, this is very far-reaching. Okay, we're talking about presidents and CEOs of the most powerful corporations on the planet. We're talking about people who are in charge of CBS and NBC and ABC and CNN. And we're talking about people that are involved in Hollywood, MGM Studios, Castle Rock and all this stuff. We're talking about people involved in the big oil companies. We're talking about, big pharma. Of course, Bill Gates. Yeah, we've all heard that. Of course, we've heard Tom Hanks and we've heard Kevin Spacey and all this. Those are just a few of the names. And for those of you who've been watching, we've seen, lists that have been put out there with hundreds of names, a lot of names you may never have heard about. But some of them you have. A lot of them you have. But those are just lists. Those aren't, real, that's not real evidence to be able to bring these up. Sure, it draws suspicion, and we have good reason to be suspicious. But the point is that Donald Trump knows doggone well that if he was to just throw it all out there, let everything out, and let everybody know who was behind this, we would see a collapse. We would see a massive void in just about every institution on this planet. And not just the businesses. We're also talking about world leaders, princes, kings, emirs. We're talking like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was saying people from other countries, from Saudi Arabia. And then she actually said, Israel. Oh, now that hit a nerve. Now, why do you suppose we couldn't talk about that? Why do you suppose that, a lot of these women, they were so fearful about coming forward? When you step out into the limelight by yourself, you leave yourself vulnerable. But all these women got together and they decided to step out into the spotlight together in solidarity. So it's one thing, like I said, if you stick out on your own, they can take you out, just like they took out Virginia Giuffre. As a matter of fact, I've got her dead man switch video right here, and it's about 3 minutes long. Thereabouts, something like that. But Virginia Giuffre, of course, she got, we're all supposed to be politically correct now and say unalived. I'll say the word, they killed her. All right? They took her out. But she had a video to explain what happened. And the only reason we got this video, she made it specifically for the reason that if she got taken out, if she got unalived, she wanted this testimony to be heard. And I'm going to share it with you right now. This is the late Virginia Giuffre.
If you're watching this, it means they got me. My dead man switch activated automatically after I missed 2 scheduled check-ins. I had it set up months ago because I knew this day was coming. I did not die by accident. I was murdered to keep their secrets buried. My name is Virginia Louise Giuffre. I was one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I survived Little St. James, but survival came at a price. I saw too much, knew too much. And now they've silenced me. But it's too late for them. They thought killing me would bury their secrets, but this video is going to a few organizations I trust, ones that have been exposing the truth for decades. You know who you are. It's your job to continue this fight. I was 16 when they reeled me in. I worked at Mar-a-Lago, folding towels, cleaning lockers. My father kept the tennis courts immaculate. We were just working folks trying to scrape by. Trump, he was around, but he was never the threat. The real predator was Ghislaine Maxwell, prim and proper, smiling, promising to teach me massage therapy at the Pink Mansion in Palm Beach. I had no idea I was being fed into a nightmare machine. Epstein's Island was hell disguised as paradise. You've heard some names linked to him, but those are just the sacrificial pawns. The real players, the ones they've protected at all costs, are still hiding in plain sight. I'll name 2 now. The first, a former U.S. President, Barack Obama. Publicly, he's revered. Privately, he was one of the worst. He wasn't there for the girls. He was there for the island boys. Young boys, trafficked and groomed. I saw him more times than I can count, always without his Secret Service detail, sometimes with his Hollywood friends, George Clooney and Tom Hanks. I still have nightmares about them, arrogant and drunk on power, slinking into the cabanas with kids barely out of childhood. The second, Bill Gates, the billionaire philanthropist, loved by the media, hailed as a savior. We called him the benefactor, and we used to dread seeing him naked. But he didn't come to party. He came to experiment. Genetic experiments, human experiments. I saw him inject a young girl with something they said was a genetic enhancement. She was younger than me, strapped to a table, terrified, treated like a lab rat while they muttered about seeding the future of the species. These men think they are gods, playing with life like it was theirs to own. I'm telling you now, Epstein isn't dead. They staged his death because he was too valuable. He held blackmail on some of the most powerful people on Earth. Files, videos, confessions. They couldn't risk him talking, but they also couldn't risk him gone, so they hid him. Stashed him under the protection of the same elite who once paid him to supply them with flesh. And they thought killing me would stop this from coming out. They were wrong, and there is so much more to come. Hidden servers, encrypted drives, witness testimonies. It's all going to hit the light. This video is just the first detonation. The data drops are timed and automatic. They are going to people who can make a difference, and nobody can stop it now. Not even the law enforcement agencies in the US and UK, the same ones that buried the evidence I handed them, can stop this truth from getting out. If you're watching this, you are the resistance. Don't let my death be just another headline. Burn their lies to the ground. Make the world see the monsters behind the masks. And to any survivors out there, don't give up. We're in this together. They can't kill us all. Make them pay.
Words from the grave. Really, this is some serious stuff, folks. It doesn't get any more serious than this. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll carry on the other side. Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary. All right, let's go to Chicago. Say hi to Jerry. Jerry, thank you for holding. You're on the air. What do you got?
Hey, this is what I got for you. I started using that GetMoreTank.com back around May in 2 different vehicles. And I'll tell you what, my fuel economy went up in one of them, Toyota RAV4 2019, and went up about 4.6 miles per gallon. I keep track of it.
Wow, good for you.
And 2019 Ford Transit with a 5-cylinder inline diesel engine, I went from 15.8 average to 17.2. And I'm also putting it in my chainsaw. I haven't noticed the difference with the chainsaw. I can't figure fuel economy on that. But, hey, that's all I wanted to say to you. Have a good show.
Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for the endorsement. It's a good product. It really is. And not only that, I'm sure that everything's running better as well. I noticed that in my my Toyota Highlander. When I hit the gas, I almost feel G-forces, All right, yeah, that's one of the callers that's had a success with Get More Tank, and you can too. If you haven't checked it out, folks, this is a no-brainer. This is absolutely a no-brainer. You're going to save money, your engine's going to run better, and you're going to increase your mileage. Those are plus across the board. And it's not a fuel additive, it's a fuel catalyst. Yeah, it makes your fuel burn, the engine burn the fuel much more efficiently. It cleans out the engine. You get more power, and after a couple of tanks, you'll start to see your mileage improve, anywhere between 15 to 20%, depending upon your make, model, and year of the vehicle, and plus your driving habits, and whether it's local or highway driving. But the bottom line here is that this is a no-brainer, folks. For $22.22, that's the price, but you use the promo code REDPILL101, you'll get 10% off. So that means for $20, you get 5 tablets. Now, once you've been using this, you use 1 tablet per tank of gas, and that's it. You put a tablet in, and like I said, after a few tanks of gas, you're going to see marked improvement. When you hit that gas pedal, your vehicle's going to go, okay? And you're going to save gas. So, absolutely. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and get more tank. You'll be glad that you did. All right, let's see. It's 27 minutes before the top of the hour. Yeah, I'm giving you a lot of coverage today about what happened with the Epstein survivors news conference that happened a couple of hours ago. And, there's a ripple effect. And I got to tell you, this particular topic is very close to my heart because through my years, I've known some very beautiful women. And one of them, as a matter of fact, I met this woman, I guess it was about 15 years ago. And she was a former body sculptor, okay? Not a bodybuilder. She was a body sculptor. I mean, she was absolutely a 10, no questions asked. Beautiful woman. And she had spent her young adult life, she won, 47 first prize in the swimsuit contest. I mean, this woman was just gorgeous. But there's a price that you pay. And unfortunately, she was abused. And because of that, she can never trust again. And I've seen it over and over. I've known a lot of women in my life that unfortunately have suffered some sort of abuse. It's not just sexual abuse. It could be sexual, could be physical, could be psychological, emotional. There's all kinds of abuse out there. But I mean, as far as, when you violate a young woman, you steal something from her that she can never get back. And that's the ability to trust and love. I mean, what else? What is the most precious thing you could steal from somebody? I can't think of anything worse. I really can't. And this is why, and like I said, I've been witness to this for many, many years. And in my years when I was talking with Ted Gunderson, and he was discussing, the trafficking that was going on that he was investigating back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And it's not just for gratification. There's also the spiritual aspect to this. And I'm not talking about good spiritual. I'm talking about evil spiritual. I'm talking about the satanic cults that have been popping up for decades all over the country. And it's in your face. It's in the music that you see, that you hear. It's in the videos that they make. It's in the movies. It's everywhere. And this has become, it's permeated into our society. And this is why it's such a horrendous monster that must be defeated. It must be. And this is why I'm spending so much time talking about this. Now, there are more people, like I said, that are becoming aware of that. As a matter of fact, Tucker Carlson even touched upon this subject. And it's links to, what was it? Kash Patel was talking a few months ago about Epstein. And yeah, there must be, he's got the videotapes went somewhere. Can't figure out which Middle Eastern country might have them. I don't know, he says. They don't want to talk about Israel. No, they don't even want to infer that Israel would have anything to do with it. But I mean, a high school kid, a grade school kid could figure this out. Let me see. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, a Mossad agent. And oh, by the way, Robert Maxwell's attorney was Joseph Pizar, who's no longer with us. But, Samuel Pizar, who just so happened to be Tony Blinken's father-in-law. Connect the dots, folks. It's not hard to figure out. But even Tucker Carlson is jumping on board with this. And yeah, no wonder they're trying to take him, take his reputation down, because he's touching on the nerves. Listen to this.
What the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. The real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. It's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that foreign government is Israel, because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty.
Yeah, listen to that crowd reaction. He actually said Israel, and they freaked out.
There is nothing wrong with saying that. Criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave. You're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest.
Wow. I'm telling you, folks, the noticing is going on across the board. Up until just a couple of months ago, nobody in the media would dare mention AIPAC. No, that's all for us conspiracy theorists. Yeah, okay, yeah. You talk about AIPAC. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, that means you're an anti-Semite and you're, anti-Zionist. Blah blah blah. But now everybody's talking about AIPAC. Everybody's looking at their congressional representatives and senators and doing little research at trackapac.com, I think it is, and then there's opensecrets.com. It's not hard to do some research and find out how many of your representatives out there are on the dole. They're being paid off. Oh, and what's that? They call it a lobby. Are they a lobbyist? No. Let's substitute another word for lobbying.
Bribery.
Yeah, bribery. That's what it is. And I said, if you went up to one of your representatives and said, hey, would you betray your country for $1?
Oh, of course not. I'd never do that.
Would you do it for $10?
No, come on, stop it.
Would you do it for $100?
Stop it.
$1,000?
I wouldn't do that.
How about for $10,000?
No, I wouldn't do that either.
How about for $100,000?
Keep going.
That's about the size of it. All you got to do is look up AIPAC and your representative, and you find out exactly whether or not they are, shall we say, working for you or working for somebody else. As a matter of fact, Steve Bannon on the War Room yesterday, he was talking about it, because more and more people are starting to recognize that Israel is not necessarily our greatest ally. As a matter of fact, I made a meme the other day. I was asking the question, fill in the blank. Israel is our greatest, okay? Is it either ally or enemy? More people are starting to realize that they're definitely not our ally, taking hundreds of billions of dollars through the years. What do we get in return? Yeah. That's a tough question. What do we get in return? We get more demands from them. That's what we get. They want more money, more guns, more bombs, more tanks, more planes. And so that we, the taxpayers, can pay for the Israelis' free health care, free education. Yeah, that's the way it works. And why do you suppose they get away with that? Well, maybe it isn't just bribery. Maybe it's coercion or blackmail. That's the key. That's the nerve right there. That's what all this Epstein stuff is all about. It's all about blackmail. And Steve Bannon had this to say yesterday on the War Room.
Bibi Netanyahu and these guys can throw the toys out of the pram and they can say everything they want. Mark Levin, Tel Aviv Levin can put up everything he wants. It's not going to happen. President Trump said it yesterday in this amazing interview with the Daily Caller. The Israel lobby used to be all-powerful. It ain't all-powerful anymore because they're a protectorate, and a protectorate does not get the right. You don't call the shots. We call the shots. The American people call the shots. And we're going to do what's in the best interest of the United States of America and the Judeo-Christian West. And part of that is not this expansionist program, and particularly when you have the situation in Gaza, which was brought about, we still don't know. We still don't have any understanding of how October 7th happened and caught everybody by surprise. I'm not buying that. And particularly the excuse that's given, the Mossad, they're so focused on Iran that they didn't even think about the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas. That's a lie. That's a bald-faced lie. You can sell that to Fox News. You ain't going to sell it here, okay? And I don't care what you call us. I don't care what we refer to. We're winning on this one. And President Trump gets it. That's why he had the massive strike to take out the uranium enrichment program that was so urgent. They were so close to a bomb, they were going to deliver into San Francisco or New York City. So close, that close. Yeah,
I'm going to pause it right there. Yeah, Netanyahu's been screaming about Iran getting a bomb since the 90s. We're talking about, 3 decades. Yes, Israel is a month away from a nuclear bomb. Yeah, okay, they're only weeks away from a nuclear... He's been saying this for 20-something years, over 25 years. Over and over. What's that saying? A lie told often enough becomes the truth? Anyway, I wanted to play that clip for you from Steve Bannon. But I had another one here that, let me see, Kim Iverson was, let me see if I can pull that one up. Where did it go? Here it is. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah, Kim Iverson had a guest on, and they were talking about Hitler. Now, the thing is, what's Hitler got to do with this? Well, as they say, history is written by those who hang the heroes, and it was General Patton that said that we were fighting for the wrong side in World War II. Now, we all know now, as more people do research and they look into what happened in Germany after World War I, yeah, okay, I mean, World War I, Germany was on the ropes. They were completely decimated. Why were they decimated? Well, because there were certain individuals in there that were involved in usury. Yeah, they're in charge of their banking system, charging interest. Not only that, but infiltrating their media, infiltrating entertainment. And remember what was going on in Berlin back in the 20s and 30s? Come to the cabaret, old chum. Transvestites and gays and transsexual. And as a matter of fact, that's where trans surgeries were being developed. Hitler wasn't going to have any of that. He was pretty PO'd about that. All you got to do is go back and listen to some of Hitler's speeches that have been translated by AI and listen to his own voice in English about what he was screaming about. And now I'm not going to say I agree 100% with a lot, but he was facing a lot of the same problems we are facing in this country right now. And as a matter of fact, you may forget that. I forget what year it was, 1930-something. On the front of Time magazine, Adolf Hitler was the man of the year. He was saving Germany. And there were a lot of people that were behind him here. But anyway, Kim Iverson was touching upon this, and I don't know who the guest was. He took it off in a different direction. He brought up some good points, but he didn't bring up the points that I just made. Anyway, here's Kim Iverson. Again, this has to do with the quote-unquote noticing. People are noticing all over the world what happened in World War II, who were the bad guys, why did Hitler do what he did, And now you compare that to what's going on in the world today, and you connect the dots and go, wait a minute. And this is the tough pill that I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. A lot of people are having a tough pill to swallow because once you start looking at this, you start seeing things in a different light. Here's Kim Iverson.
There's a lot of discussion right now circling on X about, well, we should have backed Hitler in the war. Have you seen these discussions that have been happening all over? The question, did we side with the wrong side? Should we have opposed Stalin instead?
Well, those discussions were widespread in the lead up to World War II. Harry Truman said on the floor of Congress that if it looks like Stalin is going to win, we should back Hitler. And if it looks like Hitler is going to win, we should back Stalin so we can weaken both countries and we can dominate the world. And the America First Committee, which was a group of a lot of very powerful people that didn't want the USA involved in the Second World War. The German-American Bund had rallies in Madison Square Garden, and there were widespread discussions of that. And there was a divide, and it's interesting. It was the factory owners, the industrialists. They didn't like the labor unions. The labor unions were led by Marxists and communists, and they cut into their profits. And Roosevelt was friendly with the Rockefellers and with the British, that they kind of make their profits by selling oil to the world, by dominating international finance. So the factory owners, they were more sympathetic to the Nazis because the Nazis killed the communists and, got the economy going with all kinds of military spending. Whereas the oil monopolies and the bankers were more sympathetic to Roosevelt because they wanted to maintain their domination. And Germany was a rival that had been beaten down, a country that had been stripped of its colonies after World War I. And then Hitler came to power, and all of a sudden Germany was a power again, and it was seizing territory and claiming new colonies, etc. And so Germany was now a rival once again, and they didn't want to have a rival. And that underlying World War I and World War II was the tension between the economy on the European mainland and the American and British economy that is based on the ocean and global trade, right? The Atlanticist international order versus the economy on the European mainland. And the greatest fear of the British Empire and Wall Street has been the Germans and the Russians getting together. Because if they got together, then that would end British and American domination of the European mainland and possibly of the whole world.
And let's not forget what Russia had gone through with the Bolshevik Revolution. Yeah, and who was behind that? The Bolsheviks. And what ethnicity were they? Yeah, they were the Ashkenazis, the Khazars, the Jews. I hate to say it, but that's bottom line, folks. That's one of the reasons why Hitler was, standing up for the Christians. I mean, how many Christians were murdered during the Bolshevik Revolution? Anywhere between 40 and 60 million. And they say that Hitler was he was the bad guy because of the 6 million, over and over again, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. And again, I listen to that number, and I did the math last week. They say, the Holocaust occurred between 1941 and 1945. That's 4 years. So let's do the math. If you got 6 million that they say that were gassed and incinerated in those crematoriums, and I'll get to that in a second here, but if you have to get rid of 6 million bodies after you gas them, and you got to put them in a crematorium, well, let's do the math. 4 years and 6 million. All right, cut it in half. 2 years or 3 million. Cut it in half again. 1 year or 1.5 million. All right, so if you got 1.5 million bodies that you got to cremate in a year, do the math. 1.5 million divided by 365 days in the year comes out to 4,100 and something. I forget what it is. I got it written down someplace. But 4,100 bodies would have to be cremated every single day. Do you know how long it takes to cremate a body? It's impossible. Not only that, but some of the photographs of Auschwitz, the old original photographs, don't show any chimneys. No. However, photographs taken after that, yeah, they did put up a chimney there, but that was after the war was over. So, I have to say, wait a second. Somebody's messing with something. It doesn't make sense. So, I'm just asking the questions here, doing the math, thinking outside of the cage, and I suggest and encourage everybody else to do so. Because we've been lied to about so much stuff. Now, I'm not saying that, things bad didn't happen in Germany during World War II. Of course they did. But I got to tell you, Winston Churchill was no angel either, and neither was Eisenhower. We have our own dirty hands, bloody hands in that particular conflict in World War II. But the bottom line here, as they say, history is written by those who hang the heroes. And then you have to take a look at who's in charge. Who's running the show? AIPAC again. And you look at the percentage of a particular ethnic group in the population of the United States. What's it, about 3%? And then you look at the influence of that particular ethnic group in all of our huge industries and businesses. And Big Pharma. Yep, there's that star of Remphan. Oh, yeah, there it is, another star of Remphan. And I won't call it the Star of David. There's no such thing. This is not hard to figure out, folks. But unfortunately, the truth is a bitter pill to swallow. And that because of that, people choke on it. And I'm sorry, it's a process that you have to go through. They say knowledge is power. But they also say that people fear the unknown. Common sense will tell you that if you make the unknown unknown, the fear will dissipate. At least that's what I believe, and that's what my life experience has been. When I'm fearful about something, I want to figure out why my fear is there. So you do some investigation, do some research. And once that particular issue is giving you, that was giving you fear, once you understand the issue and the facts behind it, you're not fearful of it anymore. Anyway, I just wanted to share, this is common sense. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know, if I'm wrong, please tell me. If somebody disagrees with me, call me up right now. I enjoy a healthy disagreement. 215-867-8255. We got a few minutes left. If you want to call in, now's the time to do it. But as a matter of fact, in a slightly different direction, J.J. Carroll was talking about all of the revelations that are coming out now. All the stuff everybody's talking about, the Clinton Foundation and Obama and the treason that went on and the Russia collusion hoax and the 2020 election interference, Anyway, J.J. Carroll, he's not pulling any punches. Here's what he had to say.
There was no laws that needed to be created by Congress. All the laws we needed are in the Immigration Nationality Act, the INA. All we really needed was a leader, and we had him from 2016 to 2020, and then we had a traitor under Joe Biden that literally destroyed the border and our sovereignty of America, and should be held accountable. And I doubt that he ever will be.
Give me some examples of how you see Joe Biden having been a traitor, and if he were to be held accountable. You just made it clear you don't see that happening, but if he were to be held accountable, what kind of accountability, or what would accountability look like in your eyes?
Well, let's define what he did. What was treason? What is treason? That's injuring the United States of America, injuring one's country purposely. So he did this intentionally, strategically, and purposely. Let's make sure we all have the right numbers that we're dealing with. The United States Border Patrol arrested almost 12 million people in 4 years and released 95 to 97% of everyone. Another at least 15 million illegal aliens crossed the border undetected and absconded. The federal government admits to 3 million. The federal government admits in 4 years that they brought in 17 to 18 million. Now, if you believe the government and don't want to believe a guy that's been there, done it, researched it, wrote books about it, and want to believe the government, fine, you can believe the government. Are you okay with 18 million people being brought into America illegally, and then knowing per government data that they release 200,000 special interest aliens? Those are terrorists into America. That's treason. What do I want to see? I want to see him. I want to see Harris and Mayorkas brought in to court. I want them indicted. And if they're found guilty in the court of law, then I want them punishable to the highest level of treason, and that's death.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, that's let the punishment fit the crime. And there's been a lot of talk, on the internet about, military tribunals. There was a report last week that 20 JAG officers have been brought into Washington, D.C. to work with the prosecutors. Now, why would they bring in military JAG officers unless we're talking about military tribunals. Think about that. Now, is the table being set? Are we getting ready to see these arrests? And so many people have been waiting for years now. Where are the arrests? I want to see perp walks. I want to see some of these people in orange jumpsuits, ankle bracelets, ankle chains and wrist bracelets, whatever you call them. A lot of people want to see that, myself included. That's the only way we're going to get our country back, is to have these people face justice and have that justice put in the faces of not just the American people, but the entire world. The entire world. Listen, I was out of country for about 6.5 years. I was living down in Argentina for a while. And I got to tell you, I met people from all over the globe. I met people from, all over Europe. I had people from Russia, had people from the Far East. And everybody watches the United States because they know doggone well that the U.S. is the most powerful country on the planet. And unfortunately, they also realize that that this country's being run by a bunch of blackmailed idiots. And they're scared to death. It's sort of like, what would happen if you gave a toddler a loaded gun? That's sort of the way they see the United States. Because we've got all this weaponry, and that's the last thing that they want is to have some world war kick off because some idiot, decides to push a button. So the whole world is watching the United States, and they see the corruption. They see it. I hate to say that, but the general population of the world in a lot of cases are a lot smarter than most of Americans, because most of Americans are more concerned with American Idol and Ninja Warrior and Netflix and baseball and, oh gosh, football's coming. Oh, hey, by the way, let me see. I've only got 2.5 minutes left. Oh, I got to go check the football scores. Yeah. That's why this country is so screwed up right now. Is because, unfortunately, we got a couple of generations that got fat, dumb, and lazy and weren't paying attention. And as they say, when the cat's away, the mice will play. And the mice have been having a party for the past several decades. Past couple generations, actually. But it's only now that people are starting to take a look and they're starting to, realize how we got to where we are right now. And the tentacles are wide-reaching. They go all over the globe. And who's pulling the strings? Who's running those tentacles? It's all coming out in the wash, folks. It's all coming out. Now, I'm not saying that, that the Ashkenazis and the Khazars are responsible for all of the evils of the world, but they sure got their fingers in a lot of those pies. And it's a good start to get that cleared out. And J.J. Carroll said it just as well as anybody else could. We need to see these arrests. We need to see these tribunals. We need to see the perp walks. And yes, back in the old days, they used to have hangings in the town square. And that was a pretty good deterrent for crime. When people see a criminal being hung by the neck until he's dead, that sort of gives you the idea maybe it's not a good idea to break the law and do what this guy did. So that's, I don't want to be, nasty about it. For many, many years, I didn't believe in capital punishment, but given the events of the past couple of years, I'm inclined to agree with that now. Anyway, that said, that's going to wrap up today's Wednesday edition of the WTF Reports. If you're enjoying this broadcast, I hope that you would click like, subscribe, and share, and more importantly, word of mouth. Tell folks out there, hey, look, you guys got to tune into this broadcast because this guy's talking about stuff that many of the other broadcasters don't want to touch. And frankly, I don't care because I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the accolades and the praise and the ego stroke. I walked away from that 15 years ago. Anyway, that said, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. I'll be back again tomorrow with more of the news they hope and pray you never hear. I'm Dave vonKleist. These are the WTF Reports. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow.